So our goal here is to basically just describe this polynomial that we have. So they could ask us all kinds of different questions about it. Let's see what they could ask. So they could ask us for the degree. They could ask us about the leading coefficient. They could ask us about the zeros. They could ask us about how many times those zeros happen, which we call multiplicity. And then they could ask us, like you're going to be asked on most of those problems on the worksheet, a possible expression. What is a possible expression? Okay, so let's do all those different things. Okay, so degree, just a possible one. What do you guys think? Does this have to be even or odd in terms of its degree?
Even.
Why is it even?
It's like parabola. It's not snaky.
Because it's not snaky, but another way to say that is because it's going like this, right? They go the same direction. It's like a negative parabola, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this one's even. You guys in back, come have a seat right here. Okay, leading coefficient. What do we think? Positive or negative? We already kind of said it. Negative. Why? Because it looks like a negative parabola, so we're going to say negative. Zeros, we can see them. Let's just pretend I see one. If you guys want to cause a distraction, I can. Okay.
You didn't need to eat.
All right. So we've got 4. We've got 2. And -3. How many times does it look like 4 happens? Once, because it goes like straight through, so that's its multiplicity. How many times does it look like 2 happens? Twice. So that's like what was in the quiz this time, right? You guys had one that like came down and just touched, so you were supposed to plug 3 into synthetic division twice to get the answer. And then you reduce it down to a quadratic and you could solve that quadratic. So that was like the quiz. That other one over there, it goes through, so it's got to be odd.
Like 3, yeah.
But it looks kind of snaky, so I don't think it's just 1. I think it's probably 3, and you'll see that there's some on your worksheet that are just like that. Just not very many, but a couple. So that's kind of snaky, so that one happens. I'm thinking 3 times. There's no way to be sure. Like, it could be 5 times or 7 times, but 3 is like a fine guess. Okay, possible expression. Let's do that. So let's give it a name. Call it polynomial of x. Let's see, so how's that going to go? We did this on the quiz too, right? X. And that happened once.
Oh, okay. X plus -2.
And that happened twice.
And then
X
plus 3 cubed.
There we go. And we said this is going to be negative. Sweet. Let's see if it's even right now. It should be, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's even. Cool. And this thing's going to be negative. But most of the problems you have are going to ask you to take it a step further. They're going to say solve for exactly what that thing is. So just plop something down, like A. This is kind of like our constant of variation. It's exactly what it's like. It's like K when we do constants of variation. So plop that guy down and look at the graph and tell me, is there anything we haven't used yet that we could use to find it?
The y-intercept.
Y-intercept. If I gave you like one of these other points that was labeled, you could use one of them too. Y-intercept is special though because it's got a nice 0 in it, so it's the smartest choice. So we use that, we use that, we use that. We haven't used that. So 0, 3. So x is 0, y is 3. So 3. And then we have A. You can put the negative there or not, it's up to you. I'm just gonna say A. Yeah, it is gonna be negative. Watch, it'll come out negative. Good question. So we're gonna go 0 minus 4, that's just negative 4, isn't it? Maybe I'll just write it down for you guys, let's see. So 0 minus 4. And then we've got, let's see, 0 minus 2, and 0 plus 3. And then that looks long, but I mean, I think it's just going to be some number. You can use your calculator. So that's like negative 4. What's negative 2 squared?
4.
Positive 4. 3 cubed. Watch the negatives here. This one's not negative.
27.
That's 27. So now if I put that in my calculator, I can help myself. So 16 times 27, what's that? Negative. No idea.
15 times 27.
Thank you both. 432?
Yeah.
I just made this up off the top of my head, right? So like we can check it on our calculator and see if it looks right once we come up with this. So like A is negative, there's your negative, Sarah. 3 divided by that. Turned out to be negative, right? So if we'd have put a negative here, it would have turned out to be positive, and then we'd have negative. You see how it worked out the same way?
Why does the 3 turn negative?
Because we divided by a negative. Right?
Oh.
We divided by negative. Positive over negative is negative. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
I could put the negative down there still if I wanted to.
Okay.
Cool. So I can now go chuck that guy right here, and we can put it in our calculator and see if it looks kind of right. Hopefully it does. It's not going to look perfect, I bet, because I don't know how high up and down these peaks and valleys go, right? Like there's nothing that we talked about for those. Maybe they're a little bit off, but otherwise I bet it looks right. Put it in your calculator, see. See if it looks right.
I'm just putting in that.
Okay, so we've got negative 3 divided by 342, was it? 432.
Your mom.
And then times x minus 4, and x minus 2 squared.
Well, you have two. You put in 2 x's.
Did I?
Yeah.
Fix that. Thank you, Ed.
I think these are big and
Does it kind of look right? I think I left out, or my peaks and valleys look kind of right. They might have been too high or too low, but everything else checks out. Can we see that it's snaky?
I guess.
Can we see that it's kind of snaky when it goes through this one?
Yeah.
That it clearly bounces there, and then it clearly is not snaky on that one. So that kind of stuff, that was on the quiz a little bit, right? You can bet it's going to be on the exam again. Something harder than that. I'm going to have stuff that bounces. I'm going to have stuff that goes straight through, and you've got to be able to make that distinction. Okay? Alright. I think that'll get you. There's another example or two on that worksheet. They're actually right on the worksheet, so I made up a couple more right on there. Okay?